Breaking news to bring you now. This is Iranian state media, the Fars news agency, being cited by Reuters, saying that according to the state media, that a US warship has turned back from the area of the Strait of Hormuz, and that according to Iran's Navy, it's prevented the entry of US warships into the Hormuz area, according to state television, going on to add that 2 missiles hit a US warship near Jask Island after it ignored Iranian warnings. Now, this is being reported by the Fars news agency. That's state media in Iran. I cannot, at this moment, independently verify that for you. But this is what we're hearing from the Iranians. We've not had any response as yet from the Americans or the White House or Donald Trump on Truth Social. I'm sure we will either get their version of events or a counterclaim in due course. But at the moment, at this time, Iran is claiming via state media, the Fars news agency, that 2 missiles have hit a US warship near Jask Island after that warship allegedly ignored Iranian warnings. It says, according to local sources, Fars news agency, the warship turned back from the area, and Iran's Navy is being cited as saying by state media that it's prevented the entry of warships in the Strait of Hormuz area. That's according to details being broadcast on state television. This comes, of course, as Donald Trump has said that the United States would look to undertake an operation that would ease the passage of the commercial vessels through the strait. If you look at this map we're showing you at the moment, the Strait of Hormuz is that kind of peak of the curve there between Oman and the coastline of Iran. On either side of those dots are the vessels that are at anchor. Donald Trump saying that 15,000 US troops will be utilized to enable the passage of these vessels. He claims that it's for humanitarian bases, although analysts and experts claim that there's perhaps a different rationale behind that. Let's bring in Sean Bell, who's just up taking a look at the map for us. And Sean, just what do we understand about all of this? This is, like I say, state media claiming, according to what I'm seeing, that they've prevented the entry of these warships and claiming that a US warship might have been hit by missiles.
Yeah, just to situate, obviously we've got the Strait of Hormuz here, we've got the lack of traffic here because that's where the minefield alleges that, therefore, the traffic is all being pushed to the north. Jask is over here. It's actually a port that they've been developing potentially to get more oil out. It's not really Strait of Hormuz, but only just a bit earlier we've been hearing the Iranians turn around and say that they've actually defined the area of control. We haven't got a map up yet with that, but one of the left-hand edge was this island here down to Iran, and down to Oman, and the same over this side. So the reports, as you say at the moment, are that 2 missiles are alleged to have been struck an American warship. We haven't heard anything from the American side yet. When they say missiles rather than drones, that always gets my hackles going because it might be these anti-ship missiles. They could be quite serious. But we also understand from the Iranian statement that actually both these warships turned away. Well, that would imply that they weren't disabled, and therefore it could well be they're simply warning shots or something like that. I think what's fascinating is that, of course, this isn't a coincidence. This is in direct response to President Trump talking about this new mission, this freedom mission, a humanitarian mission, and therefore it's the first time really that Iran has threatened ships this far out away from the strait. Almost certainly this is just to make sure that President Trump realises there are consequences to any action being taken today, that it won't go, that Iran still has capability to fire against American ships. And as we said earlier, I think it'll be really interesting to see whether or not America can actually follow through with this. I think it also is worth noting that it follows on a period where America claimed that it had completely destroyed Iran's military capability, and yet one of the strengths it has about targeting things in the Straits, particularly with a minefield here, is that it forces all ships to go very close to Iran and therefore very vulnerable to lots of their capability. As soon as you're talking about the Gulf of Oman, it's much bigger down here. It's much more difficult to target ships. We don't know how close the American ships were. We haven't have it verified that they were struck. But traditionally, Iran has been relatively robust but a bit over-optimistic about some of these things. things. So as we say at the moment, all we understand is that the US ships apparently ignored the Iranian warnings, that 2 were struck by the Iranians claim were missiles, and the American warships turned around or went away. But until we get that verified. But geographically, this is interesting, timing is interesting, and it all comes on the just shortly after President Trump announced that he was going to launch this humanitarian effort to move ships through the Strait. It's a very dynamic situation.
Sean, good to have you with us. For the